Hi, Sarah, Kiera, how you doing today?
Hi, great, thanks. How are you, Justin?
Very good, very good. Very excited to talk to you about this film. I just want to start off by saying, you both did an amazing job in the movie. The film would not work if you two didn't work, and so I thought you both were incredible in it. So I want to go and ask you, let's go back a bit. Like, what was the meeting between you two? What was that first meeting like when you first met?
Kiera.
Oh my gosh. Well, I was a big fan of Sarah's work. I was actually in the middle of the latest season of American Horror Story when I found out that she was cast and that I was going to be reading with her. So it was literally a Wednesday, Thursday thing. Like, I watched the episode on Wednesday, got the call on Thursday, and was like, that seems reasonable. Went out, was absolutely terrified. And like, she came in and I just had this very weird, surreal moment of like, oh my God, you're in 3 dimensions. It was just so crazy. I mean, this is my first feature film. I've never been in an audition room with someone like Sarah before. It was the first time. And so it was like just the first time I'd really seen someone that I admired that I just watched doing incredible work that week, like walk into the room with me and be ready to do a scene with me. But she right away put me at ease. She wanted to get to know me. We spent a long time talking even before we did the scene, so I would feel comfortable. And she really believed in me, like incredibly. From that very first day, that very first audition, we did 2 or 3 scenes together. And I believe you said to me, I think I remember Anish was like, you know, if this ends up happening, if Kiera ends up getting cast, and you said, well, why wouldn't that happen? And I was like, oh my God. So it was really a remarkable thing. And after I got over myself and stopped being so intimidated, it was a beginning of a beautiful friendship.
Indeed.
I'm sorry, I just talked for so long. Sorry.
Like, Sarah, I mean, I just to kind of point slowly, like, when I told people I was interviewing today, a lot of my female friends were very much like, you are not interviewing Sarah Paulson today. They were very excited. So I want to know, like, when you meet someone like Kiera and you know you're going to be hopefully working with them, how do you feel about, what their reaction is when they see you and meet you like that?
I don't ever think of anyone knowing A, who I am, B, giving it about me in that way. I don't think about it in that way. I was really thinking, I knew Anish was really, really high on Kiera and really was like, this is who I want. I was given a little bit of power to say, like, this, I don't feel it with this person, or I do feel it with this person. And if I had said, this doesn't feel right to me, I assume there would have been a bigger conversation had, and, which was an interesting position to be in. It was a little nerve-wracking. But I just knew right away that, like, there was just not a doubt in my mind that Kiera was the girl. She was it. There was just no question about it. And it's not like I read with 4 other girls and Nish was like, this is who I think is right. And it was just so clear to me instantly. And I think we both felt like, oh yeah, I don't have kids. She has a mother, but I don't have kids. But I was like, I buy this. And it was great. It was great right away. But it never occurs to me that someone might be like, holy shit. I assume they were mostly just gonna be like, who are you? Who, what? That's just...
It was definitely the former for me. I was trying really hard to play it cool, so I'm glad to hear that it didn't read so much.
You always play it so cool.
Okay, I'm undoing all of that now by telling you about it.
So, okay, a film like this is all, to me, in my opinion, is about balancing tone. What were the discussions you two had in terms of the tone of this film? It's still a thriller, but there's also definitely a big amount of drama embedded into the story. What were those discussions like?
Sarah, did we ever have any conversations about?
I do think it's interesting that for you as a person watching this movie from a more critical lens, through a more critical lens, and thinking about what works about it, what it doesn't. Like, when you're inside it, sometimes I feel like, and Kiera mentioned this earlier when we were speaking to another journalist, that, like, we just played it for real. We just invested in the reality that we were these women, and this was our story, and this was our dynamic, and it changed as it changed, and then it changed between us, and we were sort of just along for the ride. And I think I know I can speak for both of us when I say we just trusted Anish, and he'd spent so much time working on it, and he had an answer for every question, and it was just Nat and Sev and Anish are sort of this trifecta. And he told me right away, he's like, anytime I get a note, or I give you a note, you may see me talking to them, but we kind of do it together. And it's not like it was directed by all three of them, but it was, they're very much they're like a throuple. It's a real thing. It's like a real thing. So I just trusted him, and I knew that whatever he was asking us to do was part of their vision. And it's really our job to try to help bring the director's vision to life. So I just trusted him. If I hadn't, believe me, I would have been like, no.
Absolutely. Totally agree. Always trust Anish.
Right. Always trust Anish. When in doubt, trust Anish.
Mm-hmm.
So, Kiera, with this being like your first feature film, one of the things I found out, because I talked to Anish and Sev earlier today, is that their discussions with you really did help shape the movie. Like, especially in terms of the authenticity and making sure that everything was accurate, and especially the fact that, like, I think they even said there was even some last minute ADR work you had to confirm, which was, one they want to be right. How do you feel about this being your first film and you kind of had this much influence in product?
Well, I will say I had very little influence, for good reason, had very little influence over the story and the script. That was all them. Like, by the time the script landed in my lap as an auditioner, it was already this beautiful, compelling story that I was so invested in. And like, with regard to authenticity, I emailed Anish after my first audition. Like, when I first got the script for my sorry, I can't speak. When I first got when I first got the script for my callback, I read it and immediately emailed Anish and said, look, whatever happens with casting, I can't wait to see this movie, because this is one of the best portrayals of a disabled character I've ever seen. And so it started off from a really, really wonderful place. And then just the fact that they made space for me, that they made time, and they made it a priority to get everything right. And they never put it on my shoulders. They never said, it's your job to make this authentic. They did the research. They did, all of the foundational work to build it up to the place where it was. But little details, I was always welcome to come forward and say, you know what, I would transfer this way instead of that way. Or, I wouldn't want someone to come behind me and push my chair without me knowing. Here's how I would do that instead. Here's how I would communicate this. And these tiny, tiny changes were made that ultimately, to me, made a big difference in terms of the authenticity. But the biggest thing was just being on set with this team all the time, knowing that I had a voice. Like, they let me have a voice, and that made being on set comfortable and safe, and a safe place to be vulnerable all the time. And I really give Anish and Sev and Nat and the whole crew a lot of credit for that.
Awesome. Just to wrap it up, I kind of brought this up to Anish and Sev earlier, and I was wondering, because I asked them, like, this is sort of their second in single parent thriller movies. I was asking if they had a third one in mind, and if so, would you two be up for the task of returning in any capacity, working with us two again?
Yes.
I figured.
Yes, absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
If we were both like,
I'm not sure. I'll work with Anish and Sev and Nat again, but not Sarah.
I don't want Sarah again. So, like, if we could just.
Obviously, together, right?
Obviously,
I don't have to talk to you again.
She's obviously going to be a big star and leave me in the dust. And I just I would I like my own face. So I don't want to have to share with her. I find it irritating. So,
we have to share a face?
We have to share a face.
Oh no, I didn't know this was coming. I would be so happy to share your beautiful face.
So happy to share your face, man.
Oh man.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Justin.
Thank you so much, Justin. Nice to meet you.